Look around you and you'll see it. A quiet revolution is happening on our streets. Electric vehicles, the silent giants of the automotive world, have taken over our roads, promising a cleaner, greener, and brighter future for us all. But is everything as perfect as it seems? Are EVs the solution to global warming, or is it just a clever marketing tactic to sell more cars? That's what we're here to talk about. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content as we cover more about artificial intelligence and technology. The electronic vehicle, EV, market is taking the world by storm. From local startups to established automakers, everyone is jumping on the EV bandwagon. The market for electric vehicles is growing at breakneck speed, and it's easy to see why. Governments worldwide have been pushing for a transition to EVs as a way to combat climate change and global warming. The push has been so effective that a lot of manufacturers have pledged to phase out the production of traditional gasoline and diesel-powered cars entirely. For instance, California is planning to spend $10 billion on battery-powered vehicles and ban the sale of gas-powered vehicles by 2035. But is this going to make us better? And just how big is the EV market, and how quickly are people making the switch? As per our global projection, nearly 14 million electric vehicles are expected to be sold in the year 2023. This figure will build on the impressive 2.3 million electric cars that have already been sold in the first quarter of this year. Some experts predict that by 2040, over half of all new cars sold worldwide will be electric. But the switch to EVs isn't without its challenges. One of the biggest hurdles is the lack of charging infrastructure, especially in rural areas. And while electric cars are getting cheaper, they're still more expensive than traditional cars for many buyers. However, with each passing day, more and more people are making the switch. But what's driving this massive shift? The narrative. It's simply because EVs are being sold to us as the solution to all of our environmental problems. They are being promoted as the answer to climate change and as a way to reduce carbon emissions. But are they truly eco-friendly and economical? The answer may not be as straightforward as we think. The battery itself is not recyclable, producing tons of waste and affecting our planet. It's as if EVs have become the very thing that they swore to destroy. You have to dig up about 500,000 pounds of materials to make a single 1,000-pound battery. It takes 100 to 300 barrels of oil to manufacture a battery that can hold a single barrel of oil-equivalent energy. Just manufacturing the battery can have a carbon debt rate in the range of 10 to 40 tons of CO2. We need to question the vested interests that may be driving this narrative. Are EVs being promoted to distract us from the larger issues that need to be addressed? The automobile industry, fossil fuel companies, and governments all have a stake in the production of EVs. But why? Is it purely to reduce emissions and save the environment, or are there other motives at play? It's no secret that the automobile industry has struggled in recent years. With the rise of ride-sharing services and increasing concern about emissions, the demand for traditional fossil fuel vehicles has decreased. This has forced automobile manufacturers to innovate and adapt, with many now turning to electric vehicles as a way to stay competitive. But what about the fossil fuel companies? Why would they promote EVs if it meant a decrease in demand for their product? The truth is, many of these companies have diversified their interests to include renewable energy sources like wind and solar. By promoting EVs, they can position themselves as leaders in the renewable energy sector and diversify their revenue streams. And then there are the governments. In some countries, the promotion of EVs has been tied to national security interests, with a desire to reduce dependence on foreign oil. Others may see EVs as a way to create jobs and stimulate the economy. The propaganda of the narrative. Now imagine this. You're scrolling through your social media and you come across an ad for an electric vehicle. The ad shows the car with a message about how driving it will save the planet. In that moment, you're not thinking about traditional vehicles. You're thinking that you may endanger the planet if you keep driving your old Honda or SUV. But are traditional vehicles really bad? The truth is, there is no black or white answer. Though it's true that electric vehicles are more eco-friendly than traditional vehicles, it's important to remember that they are not a perfect solution. EVs still require a lot of resources to manufacture and produce, and their batteries have a limited lifespan. Plus, the electricity used to power them may still come from non-renewable sources. So why are we being bombarded with propaganda-like messages that paint EVs as the ultimate solution? The answer may lie in the interests of big corporate companies. By promoting EVs, these entities can push their own agendas and make themselves look good in the eyes of the public. The dark story of EVs. They're simply turning a blind eye to the negative side of things. For example, the production of EV batteries involve the extraction of rare earth metals like lithium, cobalt, and nickel, which can lead to soil and water contamination, as well as deforestation and habitat destruction. In particular, cobalt mining has been linked to some of the worst human rights abuses in recent memory. The vast majority of the world's cobalt supply comes from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, where the mining industry has been plagued by inhumane working conditions, child labor, and exploitation. In Congo, they have about 70% of the cobalt reserves. There, children as young as 6 years old are forced to work in cobalt mines, risking their health and well-being to extract a mineral that is crucial to the production of EV batteries. This is a stark reminder that even the most seemingly eco-friendly products can have a dark side that we must confront. We need to raise questions about the sources of electricity that power EVs, the impact of battery production on the planet, and the human cost of cobalt mining. Chinese interest in Congo mines. In fact, it's not just the Congolese who are being exploited. China, with its massive interest in Congo mines, is largely responsible for the blood batteries that power our EVs. China's involvement in Congo mines is not new. The country has been investing heavily in the region for years with the aim of securing vital resources for its rapidly growing economy. However, the impact of China's interest on the people of Congo and the environment has been devastating. Chinese companies have been accused of engaging in unethical practices, such as ignoring labor rights and disregarding environmental regulations. Western countries and multinational corporations are also complicit in the exploitation of Congolese resources. They have been accused of ignoring human rights abuses and environmental degradation associated with the mining of cobalt in the region. It's clear that the push for clean energy and EVs is not without its dark side. But as of now, considering how things are progressing, there is an immediate need to address the human rights violations in connection with the blood batteries and weigh the environmental impact of EV battery production and disposal. The myth of zero-emission vehicles. What they're telling us is that soon we'll be able to use zero-emission vehicles. It's a term that has been thrown around quite a bit lately, but is it possible to have a vehicle that emits absolutely no pollutants? The answer is no. There is no such thing as a zero-emission vehicle. While EVs may not emit pollutants directly from their tailpipes, the electricity used to charge them often comes from power plants that burn fossil fuels. So even though the vehicle itself may not be emitting pollutants, the power plant certainly is. Furthermore, emissions are not simply eliminated. They are transformed from one form to another. For instance, electric vehicles may emit less carbon dioxide during use, but their production and disposal processes are not without environmental consequences. The increasing demand for raw materials like lithium, zinc, and cobalt, which are essential components in the batteries that power EVs, has led to extensive mining activities. These mining operations have led to environmental damage and increased emissions. And as demand for these materials continue to grow, the mining operations required to extract them will only become more extensive, further damaging the environment. Now, EVs do have the potential to be excellent for the environment, but only if they run on clean energy. We need to move away from fossil fuels and embrace renewable sources of energy like solar, wind, and hydroelectric power if we want to see real progress. So what are your thoughts on this situation? What do you think will happen once we fully transition to electric vehicles? Let us know in the comments below.